Welcome back. Today we have an extra special treat for everybody. My guest today has been a pioneer in the charity space since 2007. He has been helping New Hampshire families struggling through life-threatening disease, illness, or disability, connecting neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, and business to business in a caring fundraising network. The name of that organization is Annie's Angels. This gentleman started it in 2007. He's also a dad. He's a biker. He's a good man.
Cyclist.
A cyclist.
Bikers will get mad if you call me a biker. I'm a cyclist.
A cyclist.
There you go.
My guest today, Bill Dagiau. What's up, Bill?
You know, this is my first podcast, by the way. So I'm really excited. This is like my maiden voyage into the video. Usually I'm just a voice on the radio somewhere.
Okay.
So today you get all of me.
That's it, baby. We get all of them. That we like to call that a giddy up. That's awesome. And now, so I met Bill because I'm a part of a group. I'm a board member with a group called You Can B2B, which is a cannabis group where we every year we get together and we do we get toys for the local kids, and my neighbor helped put that together, Kyle Conley, and Bill came over the house, and I was like, wow, this is incredible, because I didn't know much about Annie's Angels beforehand, and I was just like, okay, I assumed it was something like, because everyone was saying Toys for Tots, but Toys for Tots, I guess they're hard to get in touch with sometimes, and don't want to badmouth anybody, of course, but we were trying to donate toys to both groups, and Toys for Tots never showed up, and then you showed up, and you guys were able to get the double amount of presents. And is that something that you always do?
We've been doing it since we started Annie's Angels. Yeah, we do Christmas for kids that are they have special needs, trying to help out families, just have a normal Christmas. It's sad to think that, I know what Christmas was for me in my home, and I just assumed when I was little that it was that way in everybody's home, but it come to find out it's not. So, as part of our mission, I think it's only fair for us to try and make that a reality, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that, that I had the same experience as you. I didn't grow up with much wealth. In my family, my dad was in the union. My mom didn't work. I was one of five. I would say I was on like the lower end of the spectrum in terms of like where I lived. And so I always felt like I had less money than everybody. But my family, my dad, he always showed up for Christmas, like in the biggest way. My family would show up, and there'd be presents, to the stack to the door, and like those are just some of my favorite memories growing up. Mm-hmm. And yeah, when you're a kid, you don't realize this stuff, right? It's like, oh man, then you kind of get older and you hear one story or something, and you're like, oh my God, that those parents couldn't buy their, they were incapable because for whatever reason they were unable to buy their children presents. And that's brutal.
Yeah. I mean, through no fault of their own, when you're spending hours and days at Boston Children's Hospital, you're not going to work. So the income's not there. We've worked with families who, and I can't fathom this, if you're working for a company and they know that you have a sick child or a sick wife or a sick husband, and you need time, and they let you go because you need time to care for your loved one. I mean, I hear those stories all the time. It's crazy. To me, it's crazy. I get so wound up in, trying to figure this out that
it's corporate America. It's corporate America, though, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you can't. Oh yeah, you're out of your vacation time, and that's how this whole system is. It's like you can't use your vacation time or your personal time. You get your 4 weeks if you're lucky. Usually it's like 2 weeks now, and if you're past that, then sorry, we got to fire you because our companies aren't going to be able to to handle that.
Right. And the funny thing is, they're not able to hire somebody else. So they're firing you, especially like in this climate. They're not able to hire somebody else to do what you do immediately. It's not like there's people waiting at the door. So they let you go, and then what are they going to do? You being there part of the time is better than nobody being there any of the time, I would think.
Yeah, well, 100%.
But I mean, what do I know? I'm just
you're the guy who's been doing it. Now, do you have a specific example? You don't have to necessarily name names or whatever, but do you have a specific example where that has happened? I know I was reading on your website about a gentleman who he had chemotherapy. He had to go through chemotherapy. He had cancer already two times before, and he was going through his third round of cancer treatments. It was a lymphoma. And so, do you have is there a lot of stories like that?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stories where the husband or the wife loses their job because they have to. They're taking care of their child with leukemia, so they can't go to work. They're spending. Besides the normal treatments, they're spending days, unplanned days, because you go into chemo, you come home, you're a little sick, and then you go, you may spike a fever. Now you have to go back. You're driving from wherever you lived in New Hampshire, you're going back to Boston Children's. And now they may keep you there a couple days. Well, now you're sleeping on literally a windowsill. They call them mommy beds or something, but it's a windowsill, a glorified windowsill, and you're there for a few days. Now you've called out of work because you can't go in, and you do that a few times, and eventually you get let go. I know a number of families that's happened to, either mom or dad, sometimes mom and dad. So then what do you do?
Yeah, the bills still have to be paid, right?
Exactly. The rent, the mortgage.
The bank still wants their money.
Absolutely. The groceries still need to, families who never in a million years imagined that they would be in that position, that they would have to use the food bank. College degrees and great jobs and great positions. And one day, just because your child is ill, all that goes away.
A lot of people don't actually think that and don't realize that it can happen to anybody. Mm-hmm. People who have college degrees, who are educated, who have been working at a job for 5-10 years, whatever, and then they have to go through that experience. That's brutal.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I mean, it could happen to me. It could happen to you. It could happen to anybody. I before we started Annie's Angels, I never realized that. To be honest, I mean, I'm just like everybody else. I just never wasn't a normal thought in my head. But now that I do this every day, it is a thought that it could happen to anyone at any given moment. In an instant, your world can change, and that changed my perspective a lot on a lot of things. It makes you appreciate everything that you have. It makes you appreciate, being able to just reach over and grab some clean water. It makes you appreciate having indoor plumbing, just something as stupid as indoor plumbing, which we all take for granted. These families have given more to me than I could ever give to them.
That's super powerful. Now, what led you to want to do this though? What started you with Annie's Angels? You've been doing it now. We're going on close to 17 years. Mm-hmm. So who was Bill Dagiau beforehand, and how did you get started on this mission?
The magic question. So Annie's Angels is named in memory of my mom. And she passed away Christmas night, 2002, after a long battle with breast cancer. If there was a pill to take that would give her 10 more minutes, she was taking that pill. She wanted to be with her family and friends for as long as possible. I could see that. I'm on the other side of the spectrum, like my dad. I just listen. If it's time, it's time, and But anyway,
I'm gonna jump in here just quickly. I also lost my mom this past June to cancer. She had started with lung cancer and then it went to brain cancer. My mom was probably of the same cloth as you, saying that when your father, let me go when it's time. I'm ready to go. But this is what she did for us and for me. Like, I didn't think that my mom was even going to get to meet my son, because when we got pregnant, she had full diagnosis and it was really bad. And, but she went to chemo from the get-go. She was doing chemo every 3 weeks. And then she did that for the next 2.5 years. And she had 3 different brain surgeries. And, she never complained about it once. And it was just it was incredible to have that experience with her and to get to spend that extra time for her to get to meet my son. And I'm sure that she, enjoyed it as well, but she was doing it, for us. And, that's we can definitely connect on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, having my mom pass on Christmas night, 2002, and then my dad passed 3 months later. He passed on my birthday, March 10th. So my family wanted me to remember exactly the dates and times that they left us. But I mean, I wouldn't say that I was always, a religious person, but I have faith. And, whether you know the difference or not, that's up to you. But there is a difference between being religious and having faith. And my faith was rocked. I mean, I lost both my parents. I was at 41 years old, I was now an orphan, which, it sounds strange, but it is what it is. And I was mad at God for a long time. 4 years it took, and
did you have a relationship with him like beforehand, growing up?
As much as I could. It wasn't like when I was really young. I was an altar boy at church and all that, and so I knew who he was, and I think no matter what I was doing in my life at any given point, God was always like a thing that was always there. I don't know how to explain it, but I was really pissed off, and we had words. People said, "Well, pray," and I prayed. We had words. I talk even today. I talk to God the way I'm talking to you now. I talk. We have conversations. We'll say, but my wife and I moved up here to New Hampshire after they passed, or just before they passed, and we opened up a deli. It was called Valerio's Kitchen in memory of my dad. We were an Italian deli, and we were there for 10 years. We had this deli, and we were making Italian all the ways. People still today come up to me and say, "Hey, I remember when you used to make those Italian subs. I wish I had one right now." I mean, everything was imported. It was incredible.
Oh, cool.
It was literally the best sandwich.
Where was it?
We were based in Stratham. We were in Stratham, in the Stratham Plaza. And we started the deli. In the midst of that, one night, this woman comes and knocked on our door. And she was a regular customer, so we let her in. We were just getting ready to close. It was just 5 o'clock. We were getting ready to close. So we let her in, and she was a sales rep, pharmaceutical rep. So she's out doing sales all day long. And she said, I didn't have time to stop for lunch today. I'm going to this thing tonight. Can I just get a sandwich? So my wife starts making her sandwich, and we, I start talking with her, and she says, "Yeah, I'm going to this healing service tonight." Now, I've never been to one. I never heard of one. It was just, she said, "I'm going to this healing service tonight." And so she's telling me about it, where it's at. It's at St. Teresa's Church in Rye. And she said, "Hey, do you guys want to come?" So I looked at my wife, and she didn't give me You know when you look at your wife and she gives you that look, like no way, that no way look, I'll call it.
Yeah,
I didn't get
the no fucking way look. Like,
yeah.
not happening, baby. We worked all day.
I didn't get that look, so I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll go. And so we go to church, and they do their thing, and we're sitting there, and now it's time for this healing part of the service, and so I'm standing in line, and I'm watching these people who I know, some of them, and they go up, and the priest is praying over them, and they're falling down, kind of like you'd see on TV, and you say that just happens on TV. The problem was I knew these people, and there was no TV. This was just like a Thursday night kind of thing. And so it came to be my turn, and knowing that I'm carrying a heap full of mad,
yeah,
we'll say, and being just a smart ass from New Jersey, I go up and the priest says, "What would you like healing for?" And I said, "You know what? He knows better than me. I'll take whatever he thinks I need." And he put his hands on my shoulders, and he started praying, and my entire body started shaking. And I'm thinking in the back, what is happening right now? I'm thinking two things, because there's these old people that are supposed to be the catchers, and I'm thinking, don't fall on these old people because we will all go to the hospital tonight. And then I'm thinking, what is happening right now? And my whole body is just trembling, and the top of my head felt like it was on fire. And then he stopped, and he took his hands off, and I went back to my seat. On the way home that night, I told my wife, I said, so we're going to start this charity, Annie's Angels. We need to invite, I had a list of people who to invite. We're going to have them for dinner. Here's what we're going to serve, and they're going to be our first board of directors. Of course, I know nothing about running a charity. So, but it was like I had 6 months of work that I knew I had to do to move forward. And all that came out of those like 30 seconds standing there. And if it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe a lot of things that have happened to me over the last 17 years if it wasn't my life. If you told me my story, I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few stories like that and I've experienced them myself for certain, and it's almost kind of like unexplainable. But it's when you were going through that, like that 30 seconds, your body was shaking, you were hot. Like, and what have you had have you had an experience like that again, or
never,
or prior, or
never before, never since. But I can tell you this: we've had, I'll call them miracles, for lack of a better, they weren't just luck, or these were, I'll call them out and out miracles. Again, the things that I've seen over 17 years, I wouldn't believe it for a minute if I didn't see it firsthand.
I know that most of us associate the weather getting chilly with flu and cold season, but here at Dr. BeeWell, we call it bad sugar season. As Americans, we generally eat like shit. During this time of year, with the holiday and other related stresses, those horrible eating practices tend to get kicked into overdrive. We offer a solution in the form of full-spectrum RSO infused raw local honey, because we shouldn't be walking around eating nerd rope all day. Why not let the bees handle the heavy lifting that your sweet tooth demands? I think it's fair to say that most people know how vital strength training is for long-term health and fitness, but find it hard knowing where to start. I'm here to say that also included me, Dr. Steve. You want to make sure you're doing exercises correctly, you don't want to get hurt, and you have no idea how to structure a workout program to get the best results. I've been there. In fact, this is where I found myself a few months ago. That's where On Target Fitness comes in. At On Target, every client gets their own custom strength program, tons of individual attention in their unique small group format, and the common sense nutrition and health coaching necessary to make a lasting lifestyle upgrade. As a new member of On Target, I'm not only seeing major changes in my body, but also my overall quality of life. In the past, I've struggled with using proper form. Well, let me tell you, whether it's Coach Joe or Coach Ryan, they've got you covered with technique. Even movement patterns as simple as walking have improved since I've started. When I was working out by myself without a program, I was often lost and lacked the motivation to challenge myself. Not at On Target. The energy and support in the group dynamic is truly game-changing. I have so much fun every time I work out. If you're ready for lasting change, don't hesitate to schedule a complimentary strategy session at www.ontargetfit.com. During this session, you'll learn a lot, make a plan, and only move forward if it's right for your budget, schedule, and goals. I met with Coach Katie, and she was awesome. So please, if you need that giddy up back in your life, get on over to ontargetfit.com and schedule your session today.
So yeah, so how can you judge? You can't judge the 30 seconds that you had. At first, back then, you were like, "Oh, this is just a crazy thing that happened to me." Maybe you thought that it was out of body or something, but then there's this wild experience. But then since then, you've seen it happen numerous times.
Yeah, I mean, it. So that night, I didn't know what had happened, or I'll say this: I had a choice. I call that night was my crossroads, and I could go this way or I could go this way, and my decision was to go this way, and this way was the Annie's Angels way. I don't know what this way was because I didn't choose that, but I said I'm going to do this. And I think it was just saying yes. Here's a choice. Here's an option. You get to choose. Say yes to one of them. And I chose Annie's Angels. So if we were in, what was that? What was the one where Indiana Jones chooses the child? Choose wisely.
Yeah,
it was.
we are constantly like put in those, we constantly have those choices in our lives. Like we have to make decisions, and we're an active participant in it.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, okay, if I, for me, I was, a pharmacist by trade, and that's what I was doing to make a living. And I was I didn't feel whole about that necessarily. And what I was doing, I didn't feel like I was helping people. The intention why I started going to pharmacy school and practicing. And then I had this opportunity before me to kind of create my own path. And like you said, I don't know what would have happened if I kept going in all these other directions, but I know that, going down the path that I'm going down now is the one that I'm supposed to be on, helping people be well.
Yeah. And that's, when things, and I do this even to this day, when things fall into place, you're doing the right thing, you're going the right direction. When things are a struggle, it becomes, I start thinking, well, maybe that's not for right now. Because if there's too much of a pushback, maybe we pull that back. And I've had situations where, I thought I was supposed to do this, but there were too many obstacles in the way. So I pulled that idea back and we went with this. And that one went right through, like knife through butter. And then bring this back later. And later, this one went through. It's like a process.
Did you have any fear?
It was, as Annie's Angels grew, we had to make a decision because we had the deli and we had Annie's Angels. And Annie's Angels was taking over. Incrementally, it was just taking over. It was taking over all of our time. It was taking over my thoughts, my dreams, everything. It was just taken over.
But did you know what you wanted to start the charity? You were going home with your wife and you said we're going to start a charity named Annie's Angels. But did you know Annie's Angels is going to be what it is now? It's going to be helping people with disabilities. Or you just said no, I want to start a charity called Annie's Angels. And how did you get the idea of like what the mission was?
So
was that right away, or
so
when did that come?
That happened. That was that night. It was like flipping a switch, and in that moment, it was like I don't know. It was like I call it my 6-month download. That burning on the top of my head was my 6-month download. Because, look, I owned an auto repair shop. I owned a deli. I didn't know anything about running a charity. My intention wasn't to go in and start a charity that night when we went in. You know, my intention was to, I guess when I went in was to, you know, try and make amends, you know, or I don't know what the best word is for it, you know, just try to make up for, you know, for being pissed off for 4 years, you know. And if I would have walked out with just that would have been fine. But instead I walked out with this idea, and I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't have that faith at that point that it was going to work. It wasn't going to work. I didn't know. It was just a matter of, let's see where it goes. And it was never supposed to be its own thing. We owned a deli. That was I was delivering 400 sandwiches a day to local convenience stores. So, I mean, that was our gig. That was our moneymaker. That was our thing.
It was successful.
Yeah. And then Annie's Angels kind of took over. And it started just consuming everything and growing, you know, bigger than the deli ever was.
Well, how did you get started, though? How did you get started? Like, you had of course, you had the idea, but then you said, okay, we need to have these people over for that dinner.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to make, and these are going to be the board of directors. What was, like, the first step that you took?
We had them over for dinner, and everyone signed up on the board of directors just like it was laid out. We got our New Hampshire nonprofit status, and then you have to wait a certain amount of time, and then we got our 501c3 through the IRS, and everything just happened as it was laid out, I guess.
How about the mission base, though? What did you start doing?
The mission. So the mission.
Like at first, what were you doing? You're just figuring out ways to raise money. I know, like most charities, when they get started, they're trying to throw events. They're trying to figure out ways to fundraise.
We did all that. We did all the fundraising. We did, restaurant nights, that kind of thing. But our mission, I chose our mission because I saw the things that my mom struggled through, that our family struggled through. You know, going to chemo 7 days and then taking 21 days off. Well, those 7 days, she would go to the hospital, she'd take her chemo, and it was like an all-day thing. And then she'd go home. Well, they'd stop at a restaurant because they weren't going to go home and cook, my mom and dad. She wanted to get something in her before she went home and got sick. Yep. She wanted to, have something to eat.
Yeah, it's bad. Then it's bad afterwards, from my experience.
Yeah.
The chemo week is not as bad. And then the next week is when they have the most struggle.
So she wanted to get something in her, and then they would go home. Well, those first of all, the gas, just going from home to the hospital, that's not in anybody's budget. Eating that one meal on the way home, that's not in anybody's budget. And so what are you going to take away from? You're not going to pay your electric bill. You're not going to pay, you have to put gas in the car because you need it to get back and forth. You have to have it in good working order to be able to drive back and forth for treatment. So when we started Annie's Angels, we decided that we were going to help families with just that. Maybe family had great insurance, but they just needed a little help getting over the next speed bump. Maybe that's paying the electric bill. Maybe that's giving them a Market Basket gift card. Maybe that's putting oil in their tank or propane to give them some heat. Anything to just offset their day-to-day struggles. And now it's just become so much more than that. We have a fiscal sponsorship program where we'll set up a page on a website, and we set it up. It's kind of like a GoFundMe, but it's not. So we set up this page on our website. to fundraise for a specific need that's not covered by insurance, say a wheelchair van. We currently have one up there now for a guy named Kale. Great guy, great family. He got hurt and he's wheelchair bound, but the family decided that they wanted to raise money for Kale's wheelchair. And so we call that Kale's Quality of Life Fund. And we help the family produce fundraisers. We keep all the money in a fund for Kale. And then when we raised enough, we wrote a check out and we purchased the van for Kale. And we handed him we handed him a wheelchair van. It's the difference between us and like a GoFundMe. So it's tax deductible. Your donation is tax deductible for you being a donor. And it's tax exempt for Kale because we don't give him any money. We give him a van. And if there ever comes a time where he doesn't need the van anymore, he'll donate it back and we'll give it to the next family.
Yeah, and so people are clear on that. Like what normally was what would happen is if you gave somebody money, that would then that can become income, and then that's going to become a taxable event. So if you give somebody $20,000, you're not actually giving them $20,000. You're actually giving them like 14.
Right.
So when you have that with nonprofits, that's why they've created this. This mechanism is so that you can have a tax exempt status, and you can just give him the van, and then even if you're accepting a gift, even if someone gave you 20 cash or they gave you a car that cost $20,000, you'd still need to report that as income. So in a regular situation, and so that's why you guys do that. It's
right.
Tax exempt. So you're not do you ever give anybody like cash to no okay
no, we never give cash, even through our angel fund, which is that's our general fund. We always pay directly to a provider. So if you came to me and said, we need help with our electric bill, okay, so if you come to us just through the website, you've got to provide some paperwork, some supporting document that says that you have what you say you have. And then you'll send us a copy of your electric bill. And then I take that and I pay directly to Eversource or Unitil or whoever your power company is. The only thing that we'll give a gift card out for like fuel, for gas.
Yeah, you mentioned that, like a Market Basket gift card and like a fuel gift card.
Because I'm not taking your car to get gas, and I'm not going grocery shopping for you. That's just beyond
right, beyond the means.
So we will give you a gift card for that because, I mean, the gift card you have to use at Market Basket, and the gas card you have to use at that gas station. So, that's as close as we ever come to giving cash.
Yeah, and to be clear, like I think it would be fine if you gave these people cash. These are people who are obviously going to be using it, but there are nefarious situations. And then you have family members who might be, who don't want to spend it on the person. And those situations are probably few and far between.
But they happen.
But they happen. Yeah, right. So you have to take those precautions, correct?
They happen. Yeah, because if you asked for, and we're not talking chump change, we're talking like $500. So if you ask for $500 to help with your electric bill, and I hand you $500, but now you go out to the mailbox and there's something else in the mail that's more pressing, you may take that $500 and say, well, all right, I can take that money and use it for this bill, and then I'll have that bill money to pay. There's all ways to rationalize using that money for something else, but you came to us to pay your electric bill.
Yep.
So we have to pay your electric bill.
Yeah, to stay with the mission and to stay transparent and honest with what you guys have for your mission. That's why you do it that way.
And it's it's not necessarily a fact of we're going to take that $500 and have a big blast. We're going to go out and have a party or whatever. It's we're going to take it. Okay, now I have this cash, but now I just realized I have other needs more important than the power company will wait another month. But this, this seems more important to me.
And I'm sure you guys would, if it was another bill, I'm sure you'd help them out with that bill too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's an amazing story, about Kale. And so everyone knows, you guys raised You guys raised $22,000 for him. Is that 20?
Sounds about right.
No, it doesn't sound right. It's you guys raised 29, just shy of $29,000.
Yep, there you go.
So far, exactly, and exactly. The campaign is still open, and to date, what have you guys? Since 2007, how much money total have you raised?
So we've raised $5.5 million to help families who are struggling financially through disease, illness, or disability. In the beginning, I never would have imagined, we'd raise anywhere near that. And then we raised our first $1 million. And I thought, man, I remember when I was a kid and I said, man, I wish I had $1 million. And then I had $1 million and I gave every penny of it away. And it was just so cool. I mean, it's the reason I get up in the morning. I mean, it's just so cool to get up and know that we're going to help somebody. We're going to make a difference today in someone's life. And we've answered nearly 8,500 requests in 17 years. Wow. Almost 8,500 requests with that 5.5. And it's the reason I get up in the morning, because I know every morning I'm going to make a difference in someone's life. And even if it's only one person, although yesterday it was 10. We had 10 requests come in yesterday.
Are they their daily requests? Sometimes they're like, okay, sure. So can you give me an example of some of the requests that came in yesterday?
Sure. So we had a request that came in from a caseworker at Dartmouth Hitchcock for a person who just got diagnosed with cancer. They can't go to work anymore. They're in the process of filing for Social Security disability insurance, but they've fallen behind on their electric bill. Electric bill is our number one. That's why it keeps kind of coming up. That's our number one request is help me with power, help me with oil and propane. That's our top request.
It's cold up here in the wintertime.
Yeah, it is, man. And so that request was, can we pay $500 towards this $2,000 Eversource bill? Because that would be enough to get, that's nearing the top of what we'll do for any one request. Mm-hmm. But
aside from the campaigns, those are bigger situations. Those are that's a whole different ballgame. The daily request, the most that you guys will do is about 500.
Well, the most we'll do is 750 on a daily request.
Okay.
So, if the woman, if the caseworker said, can you do 750, but she asked for 500 because that was enough to get the power company off this person's back until they were able to get they get a note from a doctor, and then there's a way to get on the no disconnect list. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's what this person was going for. And then there's a program at Eversource called New Start, and he was trying to get paid to a point where he qualified for New Start, so they would wipe away the rest of his bill and start him fresh, and put him on a budget plan so that he pays the same amount every month. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. He knows that he'll have to pay X amount every month, and then it's easy to budget. When you know your electric bill is going to be $200 a month, no matter how much you use, it's easy to budget that. As opposed to, well, this month it's $600, and next month it'll be a little bit warmer out, so it'll only be $3.
Right.
That's a huge variation, and it happens all the time.
What now so is it out of those 10 yesterday, were they all electric bills, or?
No, they weren't all electric bills. One was for a little girl with autism for a program, hippotherapy program, where she would go to a horse ranch, a local horse ranch, and she does therapy for her autism with the horses. She gets to care for the horses. She gets to ride the horses. There's a whole therapy program.
Equine therapy is amazing for people. A lot of veterans do it as well.
Yeah, it's incredible. So we're going to help her. So her insurance pays for the actual therapy, but then each farm has what they call it a stable fee.
Okay.
So the stable fee is $40. So we pay the stable fee for like 20 visits.
Okay, that's amazing. So that they can go in and have 20 visits and have this experience 20 times. That's so amazing because I feel like, you know, somebody who has a child with a disability, like, you know, as of right now, my son is healthy, and I'm like, thank the Lord, for that. But like that can change, right? That can change at any moment, and it's, I can't even imagine how lost you would feel, and how scared and how afraid, and like, and so to have this support, and then you don't have any money to do anything of all these special programs that exist, and there are a lot of these programs that exist.
Yeah.
And so like you wouldn't be able to to get in there, and financially you guys are providing a lot for people, and I think that's an incredible thing.
Yeah. Even if we provide just one extra thing, it makes a difference. We just had recently a family wanted a restraining harness because their little girl was an escape artist, and she would escape out of the car. Like mom would come to a stoplight, and the little girl would escape the seatbelt and jump out of the car into traffic.
Whoa! Does this little girl have a disability?
Yes, she has special needs, and so there's this harness. It's called, I don't know the actual name for it, but it's called the Houdini harness.
Okay.
That's how they market it. The Houdini harness for your little Houdini.
Yeah.
And so it's like a 5-point harness that straps through the seatbelt through the back, but you're harnessed in, and you can't look down and like undo it. It's nearly impossible. And it was like $200, but that's $200 that this family didn't have. So what are they supposed to do? Hope that their child doesn't jump out into an oncoming truck. Mom stopped for a left-hand turn, and their little girl jumps out of the door, into oncoming traffic. That wasn't maybe that'll happen. That was when. When will this happen? Not if. And so, we spent the money. We shipped them the Houdini harness, and now the little girl is safe in the car. I mean, something as small as even, we do a lot for kids with autism, and I call them, I hate the term, but for lack of a better term, they're chew toys, because there are kids that like to, they're part of their diagnosis, they chew on things. Mm-hmm. They'll chew on a pencil, they'll chew on a pen, so someone came up with these little chew toys, and they come in a box with like 24 different chew things, and they're like $30, but that's $30 that this family doesn't have. Yeah. So what are they supposed to, like, they're supposed to let their kid chew on a windowsill? No. The family came through a caseworker, and we helped them by getting the chew toys.
It's so it's like so impactful. Just like most people, like I think a lot of people listening to this show, like they just think like, oh, $30, like I'm gonna go get I'm gonna go get some takeout in Portsmouth tonight, and that's gonna cost me $40, and they don't even think about it really. But for a lot of families, man, and this number must be increasing. I'd like to ask you, would you say that the number is increasing in terms of financial struggle? I know that
Yes.
we just had Marianne Williamson on the show, and we were talking about how 60% of people in this country are living paycheck to paycheck, and mm-hmm. I know it's a stat that like if 70% of people needed $1,000 right now, they couldn't get it, and that's in this country.
Right.
So the numbers are hard. So you've seen that. You've seen it. It's getting harder for people to, you're getting more, maybe more requests.
Absolutely. I mean, so last year 2023, we did over 1,000 requests. 2022, we did 800.
That's very high, because you told me 8,500 is what you guys.
8,500 in our
totality.
In 17 years, we've done almost 8,500, and just last year alone, we did over 1,000 of those came in last year.
And in the last 2 years, you've done 1,800 of those.
Yes.
So that number, it's getting substantially worse.
Substantially higher.
You guys probably are being more known as well.
And yes. Well, because I work basically with the same caseworkers at different locations all the time.
Is that how it always comes through? Is it through a caseworker?
A lot of times now it comes through a caseworker, which kind of is easier for me, because in the beginning, you would come through the website, and now I have to go vet you to make sure that you have what you say you have, that the need is there to do all that. When you come through the caseworker through your hospital, whether it's Dana-Farber, Dartmouth-Hitchcock, Exeter Hospital, Portsmouth Hospital, Wentworth Douglas, you come through one of their caseworkers, you've already been vetted by the caseworker. If you're coming through the oncology department, they're not going to apply for you if you don't actually have cancer, right? Mm-hmm. So it saves me a lot of time and effort, and it allows me to help more people. But as prices go up, we're having a hard time with that. I mean, last year we gave away over $600,000 just last year.
Well, that's amazing that you guys were able to do that, and that you were able to raise that money to give that away. And now, hey, listeners, hear that. It's getting harder. So let's giddy up and let's donate some money to Annie's Angels.
AnniesAngels.org.
AnniesAngels.org. I'm gonna plug that a few times this show, because we need to. I know you guys, not everybody. We have listeners from a wide base, but I know that some of them definitely have some extra income that they could be donating. So please, guys, please do that, because you're hearing the stories right now. You're hearing how this is affecting people, and it's a really big deal.
And it's easy to make that one-time donation, but there's an option to click and you can make reoccurring donations. So, whether it's $5 a month, $5 a month at the end of the year is $60. $10 a month at the end of the year is $120. It adds up. We started this organization with $0, and we worked to fundraise, to do all that, to get the money in. Now we have families that donate $10 a month, $20 a month. We have a person who donates $200 a month. We have a person who donates $700 a month. So it doesn't matter how much. It matters that you do. We can only, and I say this all the time, we're only as successful in helping as you allow us to be. Because you, our community, our state, our the Northeast area, you are where the money comes from. You are the people who let me do this. Without you, I am absolutely nothing.
Now, is it just you and your wife who are doing it, or do you guys have team members? I don't think you call them employees, and with nonprofits, or do you call them employees? I don't know how that works.
No, so when we started, we sold our deli.
How long did you do the deli and Annie's Angels? How long did that overlap happen?
We did the deli for 10 years. We started Annie's Angels at year 7. Year 10, we had to sell.
Yeah. Were you just crushing it? Did you incorporate that at all into it? Like where you were giving people like sandwiches and stuff and like giving people food at all? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yep. And then I started working from home, literally, and we still work from a room over the garage. It's no bigger than this. My office is smaller than this room. And I started working from home. My wife got a job as catering director in corporate. And then COVID hit, and we happened to get a grant. But when COVID hit, there was no more catering, so there was no need for a catering director. So she was doing other things within corporate as far as lunches and things. But we had a grant, and Annie's Angels was just growing too big for me to handle alone anymore. So we needed a director of development and an event planner. Well, she's been doing event planning. Like when we met, she worked at Kiss Radio. So, and that was one of her jobs, was planning events, for the radio station. So, she could do it, and we needed one, and we had a grant to pay her. So she resigned, and she came to work for Annie's Angels 2 years ago. And, we both work in a room over the garage. She plans all of our events for us. That's one huge thing off of my plate, so that I can concentrate on families in need. So I can concentrate on going out and meeting people, coming out and doing a podcast, as opposed to worrying about
planning events is hard.
It is hard.
It's so challenging to get people to want to commit to coming to an event. And I've been since I've been doing this, I've been throwing a couple events, and like it's hard, man. It's really
nerve-wracking.
It's nerve-wracking. It's hard. You want to make sure that you're doing everything right, and like there's 1,000 things that, like, when you think of it, like, oh, I'm throwing a party, it's easy. It's like, no, man. There's so many little details that you need to, the minutia of it.
Yep.
Like I don't think that I'd want that to be my job, full time. That's I give her a lot of credit.
Yeah, for sure. And so. We are the two employees of Annie's Angels.
Okay.
So I'm the executive director. She's the director of development and event planning. Everyone else is volunteer. We have a volunteer board of directors that oversee us. So I actually work for the board of directors. People think that you founded a charity, so you own it, but that's not the way it works. You found a charity out of the kindness of your heart, and then you give it to the community, and it's run by the board of directors. I mean, I work for the board of directors. I could be fired tomorrow. If I do a crappy job, they could fire me and hire somebody else. So that's the way a nonprofit works. It's not owned by anyone. It's not something that you could buy or sell. You found it, you nourish it, you help it to grow, and the board of directors steers it the right way, and it's something that helps the entire community. So yeah, I mean, everybody's a volunteer as far as our board of directors.
What is their role besides like overseeing you? Like, besides overseeing you and having the ability to make sure that that you're doing your job and being able to replace you, what else is the board of directors' job?
So we meet once a month. We talk about different ways to fundraise. We talk about obviously financial. If there's a financial issue or whatever, we talk about that. They also some board members make up the auction committee for our Heavenly Ball, which we have coming up in May. Some of them are on our audit committee, because I do the day-to-day bookkeeping.
Okay.
Then we have a bookkeeper that comes in once a month and fixes all my mistakes. And then once a quarter, we have the audit committee come in and they check over everything.
Seems like a pretty good checks and balances system.
We have I believe in huge, lot of eyes on the money. Mm-hmm, I believe that from day one, a lot of eyes on the money. And then every 6 months, our accountant we have QuickBooks, so our accountant has an accountant's version of our QuickBooks. So he goes in and inspects our QuickBooks to make sure that everything is legit. So that's another set of eyes. We want to make sure that the money is going where we say it's going. Mm-hmm. And we have proof to show that it's going where it's going.
Right.
So, I mean, that's basically what the what our board does. They're a great group of volunteers, especially, last night we had an auction committee meeting at the house, and this year's Heavenly Ball is going to be incredible.
You got to tell me about the you got to tell me about the Heavenly Ball. What's it all about?
So this will be the 17th anniversary Heavenly Ball. It'll be at the NVO Ballroom at the AC Hotel in downtown Portsmouth. Ticket price includes parking, because I know parking is a big deal down in Portsmouth. So the $175 for dinner includes parking. We have live auctions, silent auctions, dinner, dancing. It's just an incredible night. It's a fun night. Last year we raised almost $160,000. This year our goal is $175,000. So I'm hoping that we can blow that out of the water.
Yeah, let's make it happen, guys.
You'll
definitely be seeing Dr. BeeWell there.
We have sponsorship opportunities. You can go to our website and get to Heavenly Ball to buy tickets, to buy sponsorship opportunities. It's all up on our website. And when you go you could just go right to the homepage. You don't have to go searching. Right on the homepage is all of our events. So we've got golf tournaments up there for throughout the summer that you can register for now. We've got Heavenly Ball is up there now. We partner with gourmetgiftbaskets.com. We have our own page that you get through. You get to it through our website, and if you go to Gourmet Gift Baskets through our website, Annie's Angels gets 15% of what you order. So if you're going to send a gift basket, and they have really cool gift baskets. Some of them are wine baskets, wine and cheese baskets, cookie baskets, fruit baskets if you want to.
Candy baskets I'm seeing on
Candy
here right
baskets,
now.
Absolutely. So Annie's Angels gets 15% of your order. We have Angel Brew.
Yeah, tell me about Angel Brew. It's pretty
Angel
cool
Brew
situation you got going on over there.
I'm not really a big IPA guy, but Angel Brew is awesome. It's the heavenly IPA. That's how we it's right on the can. It's a heavenly IPA. 7.2
alcohol by volume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay. Now that's I don't drink alcohol, but I know a lot of people that do. And hey, if you're out there drinking alcohol, a lot of times you're like feeling kind of bad about it because you're like, oh, I'm drinking, whatever, spending money. Why not do it where it's positively impacting a charity?
Absolutely, we get $1 a can, and our friend Patrick over at Woodland Farms in Kittery. I can't thank him enough for what he does for Annie's Angels, just overall. But he took his number one selling beer. Who takes their number one selling product and basically gives it away? So what he did was he took his number one selling beer, Blinky, and he tweaked the recipe a little bit because you can't put Blinky into an Annie's Angels can. It's illegal. So he tweaked the recipe for Blinky and made it Angel Brew. And now he's having a hard time keeping it in stores.
That's awesome. Where can people find it in stores?
Right now you can find it at McKinnon's in Portsmouth. I know that you can find it at Woodland Farms if you go to the brewery.
Yep.
They're right across the street from Kittery Trading Post.
Yeah, okay.
So they have a really cool tasting room. So go in and try a few different beers. But
also, is it at Logan's Restaurant in Lafayette?
It'll be
Hampton.
It's supposed to be at Logan's Run. It's supposed to be at Whim. I haven't personally gone into those places yet to take a picture, but I did leave posters at Logan's Run, so it should be there. Should be at Whim. Should be at Community Oven. All in Hampton, and it should be at City Beverage. There's 8 different locations of City Beverage, and so it's going to be, if it's not already, it's going to be in City Beverage. The problem is you brew 600 cans and you sell them out immediately, now you have to go through the whole brewing process again. And listen, you can't rush it. It takes time.
Of course.
So, I told Patrick, I said, listen, man, I want 1 million cans. We're going to sell 1 million cans. Can you handle 1 million cans? He says, well, we're a little small for 1 million cans, but we're building a bigger place. So,
grow together.
We'll grow together, and listen.
A dollar of each can sold goes to Annie's Angels.
$1 of each can. Yep.
That's amazing. It's a great way to make people feel a little bit better about drinking, engaging the community.
Sure.
And it's like what a unique way to fundraise.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's we've been working on it for a while, and Patrick finally said yes, let's do it. Not because he didn't want to do it, but what's the best, like, you don't know what people like, and you want something that a lot of people are going to like, right? Like my buddy drinks like these triple IPAs, and I'm like, because listen, they taste horrible. Okay?
Right.
To put it nicely, to me, I don't like them. But this is really nice. Angel Brew is really nice, and I like it. Like, I can drink. You can't, IPA stuff like that. You can't really drink a boatload. Like, you're not down in a 4-pack of those.
Right.
Well, I guess some people do, but you're gonna have 1 or 2. It's a nice beer to have, and that was our goal, was to have a nice beer that a lot of people are gonna like, even if it is an IPA.
Do you guys have stuff on the label that is there stuff on the label that shows that, like, the connection to how people can donate to Annie's Angels, and that connection?
So our logo's on the label is in the upper right hand. It's a beer glass with wings, and then down below is the Woodland Farms logo, and it's a red label. It's a bright red label.
Okay.
So it's easy to spot on the shelf. There's a lot of beers, a lot of different labels, a lot of different colors and things. This is nice, bright red. Can't miss it.
Can't miss it. Hell yeah. Are you now? So is there any other any other? We kind of went over the events.
Yep.
Where we went over other ways that you're fundraising, and then but you do other things for other people. I know you do some stuff for veterans as well. With companion animals and service dogs.
Yep. We have our one of our programs is Angel Pets for Vets, where we provide free companion animals to current and former military. We also include first responders in that now. We can also, through a fiscal sponsorship program, if a veteran wanted a service dog, we can help them fundraise for that. And when they have enough to make the purchase, we write the check and they get the service dog. We can also help a veteran who maybe they got a companion dog, and now they want it to be their service animal, their service dog. We can help them get that dog trained. You don't necessarily have to go out and get another dog. You can get your dog trained to be a service dog. It'll be a certified service dog.
Wish you could help me train my dogs.
We have a friend up in Dover at K9 to 5 who does. She does a lot of the training for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing that you've created all these connections throughout your time, throughout your 17 years. It's so robust.
Yeah, I think you can't survive on an island. You need all these connections. When we had our deli, personally, I thought we were in a strip mall with other restaurants, and they didn't really like each other. And I'm like, listen, let's make this whole strip mall restaurants, because then when somebody comes to Stratham, they know where to go to get a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to come to get Italian subs every time, and they're not going to come for pizza all the time, or for ice cream, or for whatever. But they know where to come, and then they can sit in the parking lot and look around and have options. Let's get everybody, kind of like the food court in a mall. Everybody knows where to go when they're hungry after shopping, right?
100%.
So we kind of,
but everyone, that's the competition model, right? Like, that's, I'm very much so of the opposite mindset. Like we can collaboration is always better over competition. And so if you collaborate with each other, even if you're in similar markets, like I would, I work with so many different people who sell honey. And I have my little niche market because I infuse it with cannabis, and we're first to market to do that. But I still sell regular honey as well, and like we, so you have some beekeepers who are they don't want to have to want anything to do with you, and then but the community as a whole, they mostly want to share. They want to share their information. They want to share knowledge. They want to help each other out, and it's like, whoa, that's what made me drive more towards this. I was like, this is an incredible group of people. This is an incredible community. And I feel like a lot of industries, especially in food, they're not that way.
Yeah, I know. Look, there's certain industries where, there's competition. And that's okay. Competition is good. It's the American way, right?
Yep.
But when you're helping a family who's struggling financially through disease, illness, or disability, there should be no competition. There should be no competition between me and other organizations. What are you competing for?
Right.
You're
all helping kids, all helping people.
Let's help as many people as we can. There's no competition between me and this organization or that organization. You do your thing, you do your thing. Yes, we all compete for the same dollar pool. But people are going to give to what they're passionate about. So if they're passionate about breast cancer, they're going to donate to those organizations who support breast cancer. If they're passionate towards diabetes or say muscular dystrophy, they're going to donate to those organizations. So there's really not even competition for that, because those people are going to donate to the people to the organizations that they feel strongly help their disease, illness, or disability that they want to help with. So there's really not even a competition for that. I just find it I find it strange that nonprofits kind of they'll try and do that. I mean, we partner.
How so? How do they compete?
They're competing for like I said.
Of course, they're competing for the same donor pool. I completely understand that. But how are they physically competing? Like, how are they using their sharp elbows to like box people out?
Well, they're doing their events, doing their advertising. There are organizations who can. There are some who can't. But they're basically, their competition is for the money, because without the money, there's nothing. I can't write a check if I don't have money in the checkbook to help a family in need, right? Mm-hmm. So, but people know Annie's Angels, and the more people that know Annie's Angels, the more people want to donate to us, because we cover a multitude of different. We help with literally any disease, illness, or disability. My mom passed from breast cancer, but we help with way more than breast cancer. So, the people who want to donate to a breast cancer organization can donate to us. If you want to donate to an organization that helps with muscular dystrophy, you can donate to us. We've helped 3 families buy 3 wheelchair vans, that were suffering with muscular dystrophy. In all, we've purchased 10 vans. Wow. In 17 years. Wow. We've raised money for specific families and purchased 10 wheelchair vans for 10 specific families. With 10 different diseases.
It's like, how much does a wheelchair van cost? Like, $30K?
Well, it depends on your need and everything. It goes from $30K up to $100.
Oh, wow. That's amazing that you guys have been able to do that for those families. I bet they're incredibly grateful, and I bet it must make you feel, do you get to, the interaction that you have with them? Because I know that a lot of this is how often are you getting to interact with the families? Because I know that sometimes you're saying there's a caseworker, but are you the one who's going to deliver the gas card or the fuel card, or like how does that work? How does that situation work?
Yeah, if it's a food card or a gas card, yeah, I deliver those, because we have checks lost in the mail all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put
cash.
a gift card.
It's basically cash. Yeah, you can't put it in a can't put it
in a thing and send it off in the mail because who knows where it's going to end up. So I do get to meet families that way through like through the Angel Pets program. I've met maybe one or two of the veterans who have gotten a pet through Angel Pets.
Okay.
They go to the shelter. They they go through the adoption process, and then they'll contact us to make the payment. But I don't get to always meet
the families that you're
the
affecting.
families or the veterans. I mean, I get the emails, thanking us for making that purchase, and now they, this wife sent me an email saying, I haven't seen this part of my husband since before he was deployed, and now with this dog, he's back.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
That
it's
is
just incredible.
It is incredible. It's you see stuff like with animals. Before I had a tough time sleeping last night, and I just whatever. Instead of getting frustrated by it, I just was like, okay, these dogs do like so much for me, and I have 2 dogs, and I just love them so much, and they're annoying a lot of the time too. But I was just like loving them up, cuddling with them. One sleeps in the bed with us, one sleeps on the ground, and so like I just cuddle with them, massage them a little bit, and like the relationship that we have, the relationship you can have with a dog is like. I'll tell you what, it helps. When I was going through some of my stuff in my life with with depression and anxiety and stuff, those dogs, specifically the one that sleeps in my bed, like I wouldn't be in the same place without her. I definitely wouldn't. She gave me strength and gave me love when I didn't know if I could be loved. And that's what dogs do. They show you love. And like a veteran who's going through PTSD, we've had quite a few on the show. And like when you're in the the military, especially if you're in active combat, a deployment situation, you're doing things that are not meant for what human beings are supposed to do.
Right.
Human beings aren't supposed to murder each other. They're not supposed to kill each other. They're not supposed to do things that the military makes you do in terms of segregating people and putting people into certain boxes and stuff like that. And so there's trauma. There's so much trauma that comes home with that. So to be able to to provide that for people, that's amazing. But now with the people with disabilities, do you get to meet more? Do you get to meet more of them?
I do.
Or is it kind of the similar situation where it's just like you're being reached out to, and a couple thank yous here and there, and
we get reached out to. The families that need a wheelchair van. At some point, we're gonna
meet them for sure.
But there are others who. We don't necessarily meet all the time,
Right. It's such a big organization at this point, that you don't get to see everybody.
Kale's family, for instance, they've been huge. We talk 2 or 3 times a week sometimes. And they're actually helping us with Heavenly Ball for auction stuff.
Amazing.
Because we've built that relationship and they love what we do and what we've done for them.
So they're trying to help out and give back in any way that they can. Might not be financial. It might not be, but
exactly.
It can be time. It can be energy.
Volunteering is huge.
Huge.
Volunteering is huge for a nonprofit. And we've got some opportunities. We have so we partner with Piscataqua Fish and Game over in Greenland, and in May we do the Walter Burns. I think this is like going to be 39 years. 39, 40. It's a long time. And we became their fiscal partner for the Walter Burns Fishing Day for kids with special needs. So we get about 170 kids around this pond, and we have put 400 trout in this pond, and the state matches, and they put another. So in this little pond, there's 800 trout. And the pond is surrounded by kids with special needs, and they're having a blast. We give them a fishing pole, worms, the
whole kit.
The whole kit. The fishing game, Piscataqua Fishing Game, teaches them how to cast, teaches them how to fish. For that day, every kid gets a medal because it's a big deal for them to have to do this. So every kid gets a medal. They do give out trophies for the biggest fish, the first fish, the last fish, the smallest. They give out a lot of trophies as well. But Every kid gets a trophy that day, and we give them lunch, we give them snacks, and that's just
is that what you guys help provide, the financial resources to pay for the lunch and to pay for some of the stuff?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
And maybe the volunteers as well. You help coordinate some of that, or is that more
so
them?
we're the fiscal sponsor. So
fiscal sponsor.
We
Okay.
take care of the money. The club raises money as well, and we help. We pay for the fish to go in. We pay for the porta potties around the the pond and all that. That's one of my favorite days of the year. Just to see the smiles around this pond of these kids fishing is incredible. Something that they would have never, ever done in a million years, and they got to do it. And the schools look forward to it. I mean, it's a day out for those kids and those teachers and caseworkers.
In the special needs schools, you're saying?
Yeah.
In the special needs classes.
The classes. Yeah.
How that just does your wife feel the same way? Does she get the same joy? Does it bring her the same joy to see this happen and to be a part of that event? And
yeah, she loves going out, to fishing day. I mean, she loves all of our events, really.
She's the event planner.
Because now she's the event planner.
Right.
Before, it was a little more difficult, to be honest, because it was a lot of pressure on her, because we would plan an event, and then, she had her career. She was helping support the family. And so she would just show up kind of for the event. Or at night, like we would have auction committee meetings, and someone from the board was running the meeting, and, Di was just kind of there giving some ideas and whatnot. But it was difficult because she had already put in a full day, and her day started at 4 a.m. and then work a whole day, and then come home to a house full of people having a committee meeting. It was more difficult then. Now she works with me from home in a room over the garage.
I'll tell you what, it's probably another reason why you guys have been able to help 1,800 families in the past 2 years.
Yeah,
is because there's two of you, and there's the energy is a little bit easier at home because of that. That's amazing. Now, I have you go into CVS, and so like back in the day when I used to work at CVS when I was in high school and then in college, and fuck CVS. They're a pretty bad corporation. But this is an example of it. Every time there was like one month during the year where they would ask for $1, for round up your change for American Cancer Society. Mm-hmm. Now they do that like every single transaction. And they're just doing that, to be clear, they are just doing that so that they can have a better write-off for their bottom line. Some money is being raised, and that's a good thing. But they could take some of their profits and give that instead, but instead they're just taking more from their customers and getting more money back in the end of the day for themselves.
See, and what they should do is find local charities.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They should find local charities to give that money to.
Oh yes, they should. That's exactly what they should do, and that's actually where I'm going with this. Is like, the American Cancer Society, for instance. You're the executive director, the CEO of Annie's Angels. Mm-hmm. The executive director of American Cancer Society, their salary it ranges between $600,000 and $1 million a year.
Oh, that's incredible!
Isn't that incredible? Isn't that isn't that just robbery? It's still like I guess maybe if the person is that good at their job, maybe but they're not. That so many of these charities, they have so many people who work for them. They don't pay out they're not paying out to what they should be. There's like 40% of what they are raising is going to, or maybe even more, 60% of what they're raising is going towards funding the employees and running the shop, opposed to more so into the tune of someone making $600,000 a year.
What do you have to do to earn $600,000 a year? Because I'm pretty sure I'm doing it.
Yes.
But I don't.
Yeah, you don't make $600,000 a year.
No,
man, exactly.
I mean, I'll tell you, I make $50,000 a year. My salary is public knowledge. I make $50,000 a year. That's what I make.
Thank you for sharing that on air with us. That's that's meaningful. It goes to show that making $50K a year. Last year you guys gave out $600,000.
Yeah.
So that you can do the numbers, guys. That's
And we're never going to have a corporate yacht. I can tell you, we won't have a corporate yacht or a private chopper or a private jet to fly somebody somewhere. We don't have any of that. We raise money to give it away. That's the goal, isn't it? That should always be the goal. Now, I understand as you get bigger and you have to add people, that you have to pay those people. I get it. I absolutely get it. But ultimately, $600,000 to $1 million a year, and that's right in line with everybody else. Other big
exactly
organizations. That's right in line with what other organizations are paying. I looked up. I saw a commercial for I forget what it was for now, but the woman was asking for $25 a month to pay for these boxes to send to these kibbutz in I don't even know. I don't know that they were in Israel or if they were in other countries, but they were to send these boxes of food to her Jewish friends, and that's great. $25 a month. That's not a big ask, and as long as all the money's going there, that's fine. But then I looked up now I thought the person in the commercial was just like an actor or somebody who worked for. The person in the commercial was actually the president of the foundation, and she makes $750,000 a year. So in my head, I gave her a reasonable salary of $150,000, and then I figured out how many $25 boxes she could send to her friends,
to the people who actually need it.
It's incredible.
Yeah. What I would like, I'm going to have to look up that organization to give them a negative review or something, because that sounds horrible.
I mean, I just don't see, and some people will make the case that, well, they have a lot of responsibility and all this, but listen, if you don't love what you're doing, don't do it. Do something else. I do this because I love it. I do Annie's Angels not because I'm going to make $1 million, because I'm not ever. We are one of those paycheck to paycheck families, that all the politicians are talking about now. That's me. And I don't do this. I don't do this for the fame or the glory I do this to see a smile in the family's face when they get, whatever it is, the wheelchair van, or, we sent 2 days ago, I ordered a bed and a mattress for this woman in assisted living. So she's in assisted, so she still is responsible for her own mattress. And if she was in full care, they give her a hospital bed. But she didn't need a hospital bed. She's in assisted living, so she needed a new bed. And we bought her a bed and a mattress. And the picture that the caseworker sent back to me of this huge smile on this woman's face because she got a bed. She's 80 years old, and someone cared enough to buy her a new bed. Or, the guy who he's legally blind, and he's in assisted living as well, but he's in, like, his diagnosis is, he's at the end of his diagnosis. And so nobody wanted to get him a pair of glasses. He's got these special lenses, and they're expensive. So we bought him glasses.
That's a giddy up.
We bought him glasses, a pair of glasses, so he could see the people who were coming to visit him on his last days. Can you imagine not being able? So just because no one will give you a pair of glasses, you won't ever see my face again because you didn't have a pair of glasses? on your way to say goodbye to everyone.
Man, just being in your presence and talking with you today, you really restore my my faith, and I always have faith in humanity. You know, I'm an optimist, and leaving it as bad as it's getting out there. But what you're talking about today, man, and what you're the work that you guys are doing, and the way that you feel about it, I can feel your energy, and I can feel yes, I can feel how much you want to be doing this and how much it means to you, and it's it's just so important that we have people like you in this world, man. It's so important.
I wish there was more Annie's Angels out there. I call, so when we do our Heavenly Ball, I call those donors, those are the angels among us, because literally we couldn't do what we do without them. If I was independently wealthy, maybe, yeah. Then I could just write out checks all day. But we need those. We need everyone at Heavenly Ball. We need everyone who's watching and listening. We need everyone to donate something. Everybody can donate something. It doesn't have to be, well, I can't give a substantial amount. Well, what's a substantial amount? Because if you give a little bit and he gives a little bit and you give a little bit and everybody gives a little bit, it's a substantial amount.
Yeah, there's 1.4 million people in New Hampshire. If we all gave $1.
Exactly. Our 5.5 million didn't come in any checks that were like $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 at a time. They came in $100, $1,000, maybe $5,000 at a time.
Do you mind me asking what is the biggest that you guys have received? Because there are, just so I'm clear, there are some, mostly it's people. It's generally people like you and I and John and Jacob and people who are around us, and that's who's donating.
Yep.
But are there people who are corporate? Do you have corporate sponsors who are giving you guys money?
So our biggest check that we've ever received came from the Brook. They're charitable gaming over in Seabrook.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're one of their charities, and the check that they gave us last year was $112,000.
That's amazing.
One check for 100. That was the largest that we've received in a one. Here you go. Thanks for because they need us to stay open. They need charities to stay open. If they don't have certain number of charities that they're supporting, they have to close for the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So you get on their list.
So you're a game, I'm just saying the gist of the game, because it's a casino, because it's a gaming.
It's a charitable gaming. New Hampshire has charitable gaming. So any casino that you go to in the state of New Hampshire has to give 35% of their proceeds to local charities.
Whoa.
And if they so like the Brook, for instance, we hold the license for 10 days. They can't function if we said we don't want, if last minute, I mean, we'd never be invited back, but if last minute, say we decided we weren't going to do it and we pulled the license, they couldn't function.
That's incredible. That's incredible that New Hampshire has set it up this way, because from my understanding, this is a new thing. That's charitable gaming or casinos being open in New Hampshire is a relatively new thing as of the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, well, the casinos opening have been relatively new for the last 2 or 3 years, but charitable gaming, we've done it in the past. They had poker halls and things. They all needed a charity.
Right. Okay.
You always need a charity to do any kind of gaming like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when the Brook opened, and let me tell you what, that place is incredible. If you want to watch a game, go to the Brook. If you like to play cards, go to the Brook. You can play real cards, you can play electronic cards, you can play slots. It's just a great place.
I'm not a huge guy. I'm not a huge gambler, but I know all my buddies, they're always talking about it, and I'm always thinking oh, are they gambling too much? Now I'm going to be no, guys, gamble more, baby. Giddy up, get after it, go.
So yeah, and that again, that's every place. The new place that's opening up in Rochester, they all have to have charities involved in their day.
Yeah.
And they give 35%. Like I said, 35%. So 35% for our 10 days was $112,000.
That's amazing. Now, does each charity get the 10 days? So you don't get multiple you don't get multiple 10 days. So they're picking 36 different charities throughout the year.
Yeah, you get 10 days, whether you take 2 days at this place and 2 days at that place. But I mean, that's ridiculous because that's a lot of paperwork.
Right.
So, Lake the Brook, they give us 10 consecutive days. I can tell you our days are in July 4th week. We have those 10 days.
Get down to the Brook for the weekend of 4th of July, baby. Support Annie's Angels.
And that was, an amazing day. That allowed us to finish the year last year, because last year our date was in August. And so then you get the check in September. And then, so that allowed us October, November, and December. That $112,000 got us to where we are now.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, with the rules, like I have this space here at Rebel House. Like, could I do a poker night and do it through a charity with you guys and partner with you guys? Is that a possibility?
Well, no, because we have our 10 days.
Oh, right. You guys
our 10 days are at the Brook.
Are at the Brook.
So you only get
10
days a year. Every charity, 10 days a year. Use them how you want.
Yep, right. Not going to use them with me with my 100-person poker night,
Probably not.
Right. Okay. Cool. I just think that's such a cool thing. I'm going to try to do it anyways and find another charities.
But there are other charities out there who are dying to get on the list.
Right. Right.
They're easy. I'm sure they're easy enough to find, especially with this platform. They're easy enough to find, so you can go out and find other charities who aren't currently on a gaming night, on a gaming list. And invite those in. I mean, I don't know any of the details of how that would work. You'd have to call New Hampshire Gaming, and they've made it more reasonable than before. They've made it easier for charities to get involved, and they made the paperwork a little bit easier. So yeah, I mean,
so there's 36 charities, like roughly, that 36 charities plus someone's getting an extra some other 5 days at, or there's obviously closures and stuff. So maybe it's not 36, or is it open every day? I'm not sure.
Open every day.
Okay, so open every day, so 365 days a year, and there's 36 charities that are getting benefits, and there's a long list of them.
Like at the Brook, 72 because they do 2 charities a night.
Oh, wow. They do 2 charities a night. Okay,
yeah, so 72 there. Other places may, it depends, I guess, on the size or whatever. I don't know.
There's 72 good charities and local charities in New Hampshire that are doing good work?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. What are some other charities that you support? So
we work a lot with Women Aid. There's Women Aid of Greater Squamscott. There's Women Aid of Hampton. There's Women Aid of Portsmouth. Oyster River Women Aid. Who else do we work with? My brain just went boop.
Well, that's okay. I think that's great that you guys are helping with Women Aid. That's just a thing that helps
partner
women who are suffering from some type of traumatic experience or just need help. Or
yeah, we partner with a lot of different organizations because there's just times where we can't singly come up with money for dentures, for instance. $3,000 for dentures. I can't do $3,000 on one case.
Right, do $750.
So we do $750, and then someone else does someone else does, like Women Aid. They'll do $500, and then the caseworker just has to go until they have a full amount, and then we write the check.
This restores humanity. Like that's what this episode is going to do. For the listeners, it's going to restore humanity because it shows that, like, even though there's so much bad out there and we're so focused on we're so distracted by what the bad is, that this is the giddy up. This is what we want. This is how we actually are helping people. People like you are doing this every single day, and we need to start focusing more on that and start helping it out even more.
It's funny. It's funny you bring that up. So we were helping a family once, and we were all set up to do this feel-good interview on TV, and the camera crews are on their way, and they text the dad, and they're on their way. So like we're all getting ready to do this interview, and then there was like some horrible car accident or something, and so that camera crew got diverted to the car accident, and I was like,
That's so shitty.
That sucks, man.
That's what the news is focused on.
That's what the news focuses on.
Yeah, the bad stuff. It's always bad car accident. Get out there and go see you later.
Because that's how we're wired. We're wired for that fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go to find that, to bring out that emotion in us. Instead of, you could bring out the same emotion telling that feel-good story and bringing out the good and the kindness that people have. I mean, I've seen that kindness firsthand because, again, we couldn't do what we do without someone else's kindness and generosity. We just couldn't do it.
Kindness repays kindness, which then repays kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this like ripple effect. It's literally throwing a pebble into a pond and creating this beautiful ripple effect. And it's just so beautiful. What you do, Bill. I'm so glad that we're connected. I'm so glad that we're friends. I'm so glad that I can't wait to volunteer for you, to donate, to get all my listeners. Guys, go to anniesangels.org today. And, when this episode is released and donate some money, that we're going to expect that. We're going to expect when we drop this episode that Bill's going to see an increase in donations that day.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, we're gonna make it happen, and I'd love to partner with you in the future in any way that we can. Dr. BeeWell's, we're trying our best to to be a part of this community and to affect this community positively, and that's literally what it's all about. I do have two questions for you before we sign off here.
Yeah.
So the first one, are you still making the Italian sandwiches?
We do from time to time. We have people, believe it or not, people call us and say, listen, it's my son's first birthday. Can I get a 3-foot all the way? We're like, oh, man. All right, fine. So we'll make them. We get the 3-foot 3-foot bread. And, I mean, it's got 7 Italian cold cuts, provolone cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, pickles, sliced hot cherry peppers, and then the secret house dressing, which I don't even know what's in it. My wife makes it.
And now, are you still importing? Are you still do you still go through the importation process?
We have our connections.
Yeah, so you know where to get it.
So yeah, down in Medford, Mass, we go down and pick everything up down there, and
a 3-foot all the way.
3-foot all the way, man.
Bill, I'm sorry, man. At some point, I'm gonna be calling you and saying, hey, man, I need a 3-foot all the way.
All right, hey.
You can come to the party, and you can, we'll get everyone there to donate to Annie's Angels and say, hey, that's where you're getting that great sub from. Make sure you donate to my friend. And
that's usually what we do. That people want to pay for. We're like, make a donation to Annie's Angels, and they do.
Yeah,
but yeah, people call us. We were sitting in a bar. So we were sitting at Community Oven one night, and the bartender kept kind of looking at me and my wife. And I said to my wife, do you know this guy? She said, no. And then finally he comes over and, we order a couple beers. And he says, you guys are from Valerio's Kitchen, aren't you? He said, yeah. He said, you probably don't recognize me because I don't have my painter's cap on. And then I looked at him. I was like, oh, yeah. Now I know. I recognize you now that you mentioned painter's cap. So him and his crew used to come in every Friday. He blamed me for going out of business, by the way, because they would come in every Friday, and we had what we called an Italian stallion. So it was an Italian all the way, double stuffed. So it weighed like 1.5 pounds.
The Italian stallion.
The Italian stallion. And him and his whole crew would come in and get an Italian stallion, and then they'd go back to work and have to take a nap.
Yeah.
So he blamed me for putting him out of business because every Friday was like a half a day off.
Oh my Lord! I'm telling you, man, I'm craving it. I'm not a huge carnivore, but I eat meat once or maybe 3 or 4 times a month. And so, but twice a year probably I have a hankering, I have a craving for an Italian sub, and I'm a snob, I'm an Italian snob, you know, so I want to look for the best one possible, and you'll have to give me some advice besides your Valerio all the way.
I don't get them anywhere else because I'm spoiled.
Oh,
man, making our own at home, I'm spoiled. So
well, the next time you're making them at home, I'm coming over, before we even have to order them, because I need one of these in my body ASAP. And so in the last question I wanted to ask you today, was, do you think that, you think Mama Dukes, you think she's proud of you?
I think so. I mean, so I used to do a lot of charity cycling events, right? So I would do a bicycle ride from the Canadian border to Portsmouth for New Hampshire muscular dystrophy. I would ride a bicycle from Niagara Falls to Battery Park, New York for AIDS charities. I rode a 100-mile bike ride in Maine for the Diabetes Association. I have 52,000 miles on a bicycle.
Now, how long does that take when you go from the Canadian border down to Maine? How long does that take you?
From the Canadian border to Portsmouth?
To Portsmouth, I meant. Sorry.
It's 3 days.
3 days.
3 days on a bicycle, yeah.
3 days on a bicycle.
Yeah.
So you're a cyclist.
Yes.
This is incredible, dude. And you're telling me you've gone 52,000 miles in your day?
52,000 miles. So here's how I kind of know that Mom is kind of proud, even at least in my mind. So my mom used to find change on the ground. That was her thing. We'd be walking and she'd go, "Oh, I found a quarter, found a dime, found a penny, found a nickel, whatever." And so as I'm training for some of these events, I'm pedaling down the shoulder, and I look down and there's a quarter just laying in the road. So I'll stop and pick it up. And I had a change jug that I just throw into Annie's Angels change jug. And so I'll pull over and put it in my back pocket. "Thanks, Mom. Thanks for letting me know that you're around." And so I continue riding. Well, when we sold the deli, and before I started working from home, I did a bicycle ride from Daytona International Speedway to Exeter,
Florida to New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. It was 18 days, 1,800 miles. And so I'm in Virginia. Now, I was finding coins, along the way because, that's what you do. But I was in Virginia, and there's a lot of rolling hills on the course I was on. And it was morning rush, and I'm on the shoulder of this road, and I'm pedaling up this pretty steep incline. It's just rolling hill after rolling hill. And I look down, and there's a quarter. And I'm like, "Ma, I can't stop. It's too steep. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot going on. I can't stop." So I get up over the top and down, and now I'm climbing the second hill. And I look down, and there's another quarter. So I'm like, "Ma, I can't stop. You're killing me. It's just too steep. I can't stop and then get going, and it's dangerous because the cars." Go crest that one, go down, up the next hill. Now there's a dime. So now I'm thinking, "Oh, Mom's pissed. She only has a dime this time." And I keep on going. One more hill, and there's another dime. I'm like, you're just incredible. You're killing me." Well, I had this 15-mile rule. So my buddy who was driving a van, every 15 miles he would pull over, so that it forced me to get off the bike, because you can get in a zone and just ride forever. And then a 100-mile day and you've never stopped once. If you're not a professional cyclist, that's not what you want to do. So he pulls ahead, and I pull in and I check my water bottle, and I get that all done. And now we were trying to stay ahead of Hurricane Beryl. At that time, there was Hurricane Beryl who caught us, but then went out to sea and then was coming back. So we were trying to stay ahead of it. And I said to my buddy Chris, I said, "Chris, let's get out of here. We got to stay ahead of those clouds." And so I get on my bike, and we come up, and there's a stoplight. So I put my foot down, and I'm looking around, and I just happen to look down at my foot, and next to my cycling shoe, 2 quarters and 2 dimes. So I had just finished telling Chris about the quarters and the dimes. So I pick him up and I say, "Hey, Chris, remember I was telling you about those quarters and dimes back on the road?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Look what I just found next to my feet." And he's like, "Get away from me. Just stay away from me. You're a creep. You're freaky. Get away." So he wouldn't touch the quarter or the dimes. He said, "Just throw them in the cup." So I threw them in the cup, and it was all good. But, I know she's around. I know she's here. I can feel when she's around. Some people think I'm just nuts. Whatever.
I think that both our moms are here with us right now. If you can see the hair on my arm, it's standing up.
I'll bet.
And that's how I know, because that happens. When my mom shows up, and people in my life who I've lost, they show up. I call it the tinglies. And when and you telling that story, and they're here with us right now, man, because we're doing the good work. You're doing the good work. I'm certainly trying my best, and it's amazing. I know she's so proud of you, and you should be so proud of yourself.
Yeah,
because the work that you're doing for 17 years, and I know you're not done. I know you're going to keep pushing this thing forward and making it, this incredible story and journey that is, going to help another 8,500 people.
And look, I'm not done, but you know what? That decision will never be mine. That decision is up to the people watching, the people listening. That decision is always theirs, because if they stop giving, if our donors stop giving, if we can't get sponsors for Heavenly Ball, if we can't get people in the seats for Heavenly Ball, then the decision is made, right? Because I'm not independently wealthy. I told you what I make. I'm not independently wealthy. So it's always up to you. People like you, people like them, people like me who they want to do something but don't know how, don't think they can ever do enough. Anything helps, because it's not just you may be in that room alone. You might get on your phone and type in and do a donation for Annie's Angels, but it's not just you. It's you and the person who lives next door, and the person that lives next door to them, and them, and them. And you know what? If everybody who listens to this tells one other person, that doubles the audience, right? That doubles the number of people that know about Annie's Angels. If everybody tells, and if they tell one person, now we're triple. I remember when I was growing up, there was it was a Farrah Fawcett commercial, I think, and it was for a shampoo, and the screen would so it was Farrah Fawcett, and then she says, and they tell 2 people, and so on, and the screen fills up with all tiny little Farrah Fawcett faces. Same thing here. If everybody tells one other person, we've doubled people that know about Annie's Angels. I can't do this all alone. I just can't. There's just not enough for me to go around. And, again, when I'm done, I don't have a retirement plan. I can do this for as long as I can possibly do this. As long as I've got a mind and I'm able to do this. I can do this till I'm 100. As long as I can sign a check and make decisions, clearly, I can do this. But if there's nothing in the checkbook, then it's done. And I'm done. It's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say helpless.
You're dependent. You're dependent on other people.
I am 100%
kindness.
100% dependent on other people's kindness. 100%. There's no fallback plan. There's no retirement plan. I am 100% dependent on other people's kindness. That's a scary place to live, but it's where I choose to live because I've seen the kindness. I've seen other people's kindness come in, and with all those almost 8,500 people that we've helped, and those millions of dollars that we've given away. It's like I said, I used to, when I was young, I used to think, man, I wish I had $1 million. And then I had $1 million and I gave it away, every penny.
Not just $1 million.
And now $5.5 million. I've given it away, every penny. So
let's take it to 10.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Like you said, guys.
When we hit that $1 million in Angel Brew, when we hit that 1,000,000 can Angel Brew, there's another $1 million right there.
That's it, baby. That's it. And once once we can figure out once my brand grows enough, that's something that we can definitely do. We'll sponsor a honey. We'll have an Angel honey. We'll get something going like that.
There you go.
We'll make some type of donation. I'm so here for it. I'm so here to help you guys. Annie's Angels is going to be my charity of choice going forward.
I appreciate it. And you know what? We've worked with families who take CBD, children who take CBD. It was mint chocolate drink. And because this little boy the doctors described it as an electrical storm in his brain constantly. He had 1,500 seizures a day. And his mom started giving him CBD in the mint chocolate, and the seizures went from 1,500 a day down to under 100.
That's the magic.
There's
there.
So many things. That's
the
when
plant is medicine.
I didn't realize that until this mom who did some research. It's not like back in the 60s when you got a dime bag and
right. It's a lot different now.
It's a lot different now. It's a different it's a different product.
Yes.
It's not.
I'm going to tell you something, Bill. There was a lot of families like that, and the mothers and the fathers who did that. They saw that their kids were were suffering, and at the time it was Colorado is where one of the first places that it was legalized in, and so you had people moving from all over the world. All over the country, moving their whole families, moving their lives to Colorado just so that they could give their kids in a legal manner, could give them CBD. And it's for the mint chocolate drink, that's amazing. I think honey's an even a better thing because it's also of the plant.
This is just what they ordered. This is what they had available because that was all there was at the time,
right?
And it came from Colorado.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we would. So we were a fiscal sponsor for the family, and Mom would say, "Can you write me a check to this company?" And so I would go online and make the payment, and they would ship it to the family here.
It's incredible.
And I figured as long as they were shipping, it must have been legal because otherwise they wouldn't have shipped it here.
Yeah, it was. It is. It's the CBD, but at first it wasn't like that. At first, this is probably a little bit more recent, I would say. Maybe last 5 years you were in that situation, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when it was just becoming medically legal, the people were not. It wasn't okay to ship it. It was not a cool thing. So the people had to actually move their families physically to the location. And sometimes CBD is great, and then sometimes there was certain scenarios where THC, like the active psychoactive component, in the cannabis plant, was also helping, people with specifically epilepsy, the seizures that you're talking about.
Yep.
So it's just it's an incredible story, and I thank you for sharing that with me.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, guys, we're charged with something right here. We're charged with a serious task. I don't ever ask you guys for anything. I try to provide you guys with free information and bring on great guests to enrich your lives. But now it's time for us to answer the call and to enrich other people's lives, to be a part of that kindness. What Bill is talking about, kindness pays kindness, which pays kindness. And that's the way through. That's the only way through, is with an open heart and an open love. And if every single one of you tells one other person, you make a donation yourself, and then you tell somebody else to make a donation, That's going to make a huge impact. And then don't leave it at that. Tell that person to tell somebody else. Send them this episode. Say, hey, this is important for our community. These people are doing really good work, and you should listen to this. You should listen to what they have to say, and you should get on their website at anniesangels.org and make a donation. And hey, if you can't donate, guess what? Hit up Bill. Reach out. I know on the website you can say, contact me and volunteer your time, volunteer your energy.
Yep.
I know you'll see Dr. BeeWell at some of these events. So please, guys, please. I like I said, I never ask you for anything, but right now I am asking you to do this. It's very important that this happens, that you make these donations, that you figure out ways to make that happen, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's creative ideas, anything that you can bring to the table, you bring it to the table. But the biggest thing you can do is spread the word. Make a donation and spread the word. And, Bill, I thank you so much, man, for coming on the show today. You are an amazing person. You should be so proud of yourself. Say thank you so much to your wife as well. You guys are really doing the work. You're doing God's work for, from where we started this show. And, but the way that I see God is not somebody who's up in the sky. I see God as the connection between all of us, the energy between all of us, the goodness in the world. That's the way that I see God. And I think that you're doing that, man. And you're an amazing person. I thank you so much for coming on the show today. And, I can't wait to see what we can do together.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It was a blast. I have a friend. His name is Buddy. And he's a Marine. I wouldn't say former Marine because there's no such thing as a former Marine, I guess, right? And his motto is, I am my brother's keeper. And that's incredible. That's how I think we should all live. We should all be our brother's keeper.
100%. Let's all be our brother's keeper. Let's do it together. Let's take care of each other. Let's raise each other up. Let's create this new dynamic in the world that's already existed for a long time, but let's bring it to light. Let's bring it to light and let's show people what we're capable of. Let's go out and raise, another $5.5 million for Annie's Angels. Let's make huge impact. Let's really get this going, guys. Thank you so much for being with me today, Bill. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you. And until next time, giddy up.